The next game I want to talk about, Michael, is the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to New England to play the Patriots. The Patriots belabored the Steelers 33-3. Only the second time there was a 30-point loss in the Ben Roethlisberger era.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't see much good news coming from this game for the Steelers.
I know, right? You just look at the ineptitude. I mean,
you see it on the schedule and anything. Okay, home opener for the Patriots. It's going to be intense, because everyone showing a new banner. But the Steelers, I guess, got stuck on the bus or something because they didn't show up at all that game.
Yeah, I mean, when you have an offensive line as formidable as theirs, a stout running game is supposed to travel well.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at their leading rusher, James Conner, 21 yards. Really? And I mean, you think about it, the Patriots lost Flowers, their best defensive lineman, to free agency to the Lions. And I mean, they just stuffed these boys.
And Tom Brady, he did not look like he was 40-something years old. He threw 3 touchdown passes, 341 yards. He looked sharp. He looked focused. And then, by the way, they also picked up someone over the night. They picked up Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
So his wide receiver combination is just going to get stronger, not weak.
Yeah.
This next NFL week,
Yeah.
So.
And you look at them, man, they put up 465 yards. 366 yards passing. Steelers only had 32 yards rushing. Just dismal. I wouldn't have expected that to happen where they couldn't even move the ball. With that offensive line, with the Castro and Pouncey and those boys, hello, there's a lot of money spent right there. I think Roethlisberger was their second leading rusher, right?
I know, it's crazy. If you're the Steelers, if you're a Steelers fan, you'd be like, what did I just see on TV? Because I was shocked. I really thought it would be a high-scoring game. And then when I saw it to be...
It was, for the Patriots.
For the Patriots, but not for the Steelers. And they are a year away removed from Antonio Brown, and that could have done a little bit, but
that doesn't account for them, rushing for 2.5 yards a carry with that offensive line. I'm just going to say it. I think Tomlin has to be on the hot seat, because this guy, he pretty much lost the locker room last year, and then just come out there like this and just lay an egg. They got whipped in all facets of the game, and they pride themselves on being one of the the most rock steady teams for the since 1970. With 3 coaches since '69.
Right. I always thought he would always be on the hot seat every year because they are just overhyped and underproduced. Every year, and Roethlisberger did not look his greatest. He looked frustrated.
The Patriots had a lot to do with him looking frustrated.
Yes.
Their defense, Stephen Gilmore, he kept Juju Smith-Schuster out of the end zone. Schuster still had 70 yards receiving, but he didn't score a touchdown. This is just like I said, they belabored them.
If you're a Patriots fan, you got to be elated because of how well your team produced. You got to see the new banner, and they got another wide receiver coming in over the weekend, and
Well, think about it. It was a carnival atmosphere before the game. It was electric before the game, and it never subsided. It just stayed in a frenzy the whole way. This isn't the Dolphins coming in, you're beating by 30. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
This is a 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hello, this is a real formidable opponent here, and you just,
embarrassed them.
Yeah.
You embarrassed them on national TV.
Curb stomped them.
Yeah. We had a lot of those kind of games this week 1. A lot of teams you thought would do better, and they didn't.
But you didn't expect the Steelers to be one of those that was an also ran
to lose by 30. I mean, it was awful. I mean, it was disappointing to, for viewership too. NBC said that wasn't the highest game. The highest game actually was the Cowboys and Giants.
Yeah.
But I mean, they said that viewership wasn't the greatest. And of course, who's on TuneIn? Who's on watch full 3 hours? I mean, I guess I was the only one. I watched the full 3 hours of the beatdown because I thought maybe something can happen, but it was hard for me to watch that game. I mean, and I don't root for either one of them. I mean, it was just hard for me to watch as a fan and be like, it was just a beating.
Yeah, and you look at the AFC North, and both teams that were favored are already behind. Mm-hmm. Baltimore's sitting alone because all three teams in the AFC North lost, but them. I mean, they really, really looked
not bad.
Yeah, Steelers looked that bad, and the Ravens looked that good. So,
I mean, that's another. I mean, like I said, that division's always very intense. But man, the Ravens up there.
We'll see if they're for real or not. But the Steelers, they got a lot of work to do, man. Like I said, I did not think that the Patriots would be able to shut their running game down like that with that offensive line. Like I said, that's supposed to be a great equalizer. You're supposed to be able to. That's supposed to help you travel well. It should keep you in every game, but it didn't.
It did not at all. I mean, it was just, Tom Brady, he looked like he was, wouldn't expect him in 20 years in the NFL. He was throwing balls.
Well, I mean, is it the receiving court that, new guys running wrong routes, or is it just, but, you still had Schuster.
Yep.
You still had him and just.
And hopefully the Steelers can bounce back for your Steeler fans. But, the Patriots look very dominant, very interesting. And they're just going to get better with Antonio Brown starting this week. I mean, it'll be interesting.
Yep, he better do it the Patriot way or he'll be on Skid Row again. So, Mike, what's the next game you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think everyone was probably watching this on CBS. The first couple drives went really well for Kansas City, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, Nick Foles gets hurt right after he threw that touchdown pass. He broke his collarbone. He's out until like week 11. That game was a couple of ejections happened during that game for Jacksonville. They were very pumped up.
Yeah, discipline remains an issue for the Jags. I mean, Miles Jack getting kicked out for fighting, another player getting penalty in the fourth quarter for taunting. I'm like, you can't be stupid, and they were stupid. 10 penalties, 71 yards.
I mean, that
10 penalties. Here we go. You're professional. Act like it. 2 turnovers hurt them too.
I mean, and Mahomes, 25 for 33 for 3 touchdown passes. LaShawn McCoy reunited with Andy Reid, rushed for 81 yards. I mean, that's a good run for him. That's a good reuniting for him.
Yeah, him and Damian Williams, they're pretty solid backfield. 23 carries for 107 yards, 1 TD, 7 receptions, 51 yards. And with that touchdown that Williams had, that's 11 touchdowns in his last 7 games. Former OU great.
Well, there you go. Samuel Watkins, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns.
As far as I was concerned, that was the star of the game right there. I mean, he finally lived up to the billing he had coming out of Clemson as a first-round draft pick. I mean, 9 receptions, 198 yards, 3 TDs. I mean, it's like he was scoring at will.
I mean, this was Jacksonville. I mean, their defense. I mean, the penalties killed them. Still.
Yeah, I mean, all the talent's there, but with Marcel Darius being out, they had to move Calais Campbell inside, and he played 81% of the defensive snaps, which at his age he doesn't need to be doing. He only needs to be playing about 60% of the snaps on defense, and they just overused him.
And I gotta give credit to the backup quarterback for Jacksonville. For him.
Gardner Minshew, the second. Yeah, Washington State, 6th round pick.
I mean, throwing for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Yeah, he was 22 of 25, man, in 3 quarters.
And just thinking of this, he probably Sunday morning was not thinking, hey, I'm going to be playing today.
I know, right?
I mean, he was, he had to grab his helmet and start throwing right when they saw Nick Foles. And I mean, that hit, the Nick Foles got hit. I mean, you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, that required surgery on his collarbone. So.
Yeah. And the way he was walking, you knew something was not, And,
yeah, but going back to Gardner Minshew, he played a lot of snaps in the preseason, but he never showed that he could be this guy. I mean, that maybe it's just not having pressure, just getting thrust into the moment with no worrying, and just 1 minute you're a spectator, next minute you're a combatant out there. So we'll see this week. We have a full week of preparation, a full week to think about it, and in the meantime, the Steelers traded their backup quarterback Dobbs out of Tennessee. They traded him to Jacksonville. So it was the kid, Minshew's he going first sign of trouble. Is he going to be looking over his shoulder thinking they're going to put this kid in? Who knows? But
but Kansas City, I mean, to come back to Kansas City to score 40 points, I mean, they really didn't lose. Mahomes really didn't lose that much. I mean, he's still throwing touchdown passes like it's no one's business.
Yeah.
I mean, he flew passed for 50 touchdowns this past season. And he threw 3 in one game. I mean, I didn't see much difference. I mean, he's more fired up, more focused. Kansas City still looks dominant, to beat.
They do.
I mean, Andy Reid, got everyone buying in. I mean, LaShawn McCoy reunited with Andy Reid. McCoy loves playing for Andy Reid, so he's going to definitely step it up this year. I bet he's just glad to be out of Buffalo. Be able to kind of be playing a more warmer climate during the winter. But
but if you're a Kansas City fan, you got to be worried about that defense, because here they are. They gave up 428 yards offense, 347 yards passing, 81 yards rushing. The 5.1 yards per carry. But they have some work to do, because this was not, Jacksonville's never been known as an offensive juggernaut. I mean, they're one of those defensive first teams, and so for them boys to come out there and put that kind of yardage up on Kansas City, they scored 26 points on them.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do when a real high-profile offense comes in there for your Kansas City? Is it going to be more of the same, the switching to the 4-3 defense and bringing in all those guys, It hadn't worked. I mean,
a lot of things that Kansas City last year they had their worry was they always were dependent on their offense to lead them in, because they would give up a touchdown, they had to come back and win by a touchdown. And the defense is definitely an issue. Still will be. I mean,
yeah, both of them were 50% on their third down, conversions. They both gave up 13 first downs on passing attempts, so that speaks to their secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're Kansas City, you've got to be worried, because this was not one of the better offenses in the league. I mean, this 6th round draft pick going to come in here and put up that kind of yards on your defense.
I mean, if you really think about it, Foles did have one touchdown when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So there were 7 points off of that.
Right.
But, for him to still give him 14 points off the bench, wasn't even thinking about playing that day,
Well, it's a triumph of the uncluttered mind, as it were.
Yes.
As someone famously said. But, Jacksonville's got to get the discipline on that team fixed. You just can't have guys just going out there doing what they want. Because this is always an issue with these guys.
Oh, yeah.
The talent's there. They're just...
There'll be some penalties out there, because he went to the one player that got tossed. He went
Miles
to go,
Jack. Yeah.
He went to go charge that referee.
Had to be held back.
Yeah.
If he had touched that referee, he'd have been gone. I mean, that's just not smart. I mean,
I know you're fired up for the game, but that's a little too much fired up to have that.
Yeah.
To do that, to be escorted out by your own teammates,